My own personal experience, the attitude is, gosh, probably 75% of your sales game. Uh, with a bad attitude or having a bad day, it's very easy to reflect that right to the customer.
You have to attitude. You have to be pleased with where you work and what you sell, and you have to come in every morning with a positive attitude and an upbeat attitude, and hope it lasts you all day.
Attitude's everything. If you walk out to a customer sluggish that morning and you don't feel as good, you're not going to make a sale because the customer will feel that. If you're not having fun with the guy or the lady, it doesn't matter. You got to have some fun at it.
Sometimes it's hard, like, you know, when you went home or you got something personal and you can't not take it out from your mind when you go to work. Sometimes it's hard. And when it's hard, you can't sell car on that day. I'm positive you can't not do it.
Well, the feeling is you've got to feel good about yourself, and you got to, you know, feel good about the way you're dressed. If, you know, if you're just going pumped over and not in the mood to sell the car, you're not going to do it.
The first thing I do in the morning basically is getting ready and being in the right frame of mind and make sure that I'm wearing that smile, coming to work, leaving all the problems, if I have any, behind me, just coming to work with the right attitude and try to sell a car, or two or three maybe.
Let me put it this way. When I first started selling cars, I said, Dad, I don't know what to do. I don't know anything about cars. He goes, it's not the car business, Marianne, it's the people business, and you know that.
Every day is different. Every day I learn something new. Every customer has a different story. I have to gear myself for the customer. And the first few minutes are the most important in the entire process, because I have to immediately find out what this guy does, or this lady, where he's been, what he's looking for. And as Dale Carnegie said, the fastest way to become friends with somebody is to ask them questions, get them talking about themselves. And I do that with my customers. I want to know how many kids they have. Is it a 2-door, 4-door, 5-speed automatic, light? You got to ask the questions, and you get them talking. As soon as somebody starts talking about themselves, they become your friends.
So it's a real good cordial greeting with the customer. That's the key, because in the first few minutes, or actually a few seconds of meeting, that is, am I deal with? And generally that'll happen in the first few seconds.
Because they come in this lot, you know, when they come in to buy a car, they're really on their guard. What I'm trying to do is put their guard down, you know, pull their guard down so I can really, you got more of a chance. You got to get them down to earth, because they're ready to fight you. They get their hands up.
And you start pressing real hard for a sale, and you're going to lose them, because they can feel the pressure, and they can feel the bad attitude. Just, you know, they radiate, so do good vibrations. I mean, if you're in a good attitude, you're going to do well.
I mean, you have to be personable. You got to be their friend before you become the salesman. And you got to be more convincing to the customer to sell yourself first before you buy the car. I mean, they will buy like you. I don't care if the price is much higher than somewhere else. They will buy from you if they like you.
And it's not really that difficult. We all know how to say hello, and we've all got, you know, talent to be friendly. We can all smile. And I think that's really about all that it really amounts to. There's just plain good old-fashioned courtesy.
What I like to do is joke around with people. That's fun, you know, and having a good sense of what will work and what is appropriate to make fun of, and when it's time to, you know, get down to business. I think it's all in timing.
There's a lot of different personality traits out there, and you have to try to humor them a little bit, try to get them to laugh. And I think if you can get them to laugh, it makes the whole process go so much smoother.
That eases them down, and then they're a little more easy to get along with. If you're not having fun with the guy or the lady, it doesn't matter. You got to have some fun at it.
You don't want to look like basically a typical salesperson they're always afraid of dealing with. So therefore, it's very important that you have that smile on your face and you greet them properly, and basically you start off the whole selling process on the right track.
Hopefully every time you sell a car, you make a friend. And that's what's important in this business is repeat business and referral business. That's very important.
So you got to feel good about yourself, even though they might have a chip on their shoulder. You got to overlook that. I like to try to get a hard guy to a nice guy. If he's coming in here with a chip on his shoulder, to get that chip off his shoulder and see a big turnaround.
I love people. Psychology. I mean, I just love people, and this is a very natural thing for me because I like to make friends, and I want to be my customer's friend in the car business, not just, So.
Well, qualifying a customer starts really when you introduce yourself at the door. It's that you ask them and all the information that they offer.
First of all, you can't sell them a car unless you know what they want. And it's not just the fact they need a car. You need to get to know what kind of payment they want. Car. You got to show them you care what they need to know about a car.
Just constantly ask them questions. Listen to what they say. Let them tell you what they're going out of the car. Ask them what they liked about the car they're driving now. Think about it. Find out what turns them on. What gets them excited about the automobile.
One of the things I do is, customer, can I help you? Because I already know the answer to that because they've come to my dealership to look at Hondas. So I know I can help them. A lot of times they'll say, I'm just looking. Well, every day I learn something new. I say, come on, let's go look together. And I'll ask them, what do you need the car for? And they'll give an answer. Well, is it a 2-door or 4-door? 5-speed or automatic? Starting to find out the things that they have already decided in their minds that they need. My job is to direct them to the car I feel they need.
I try to let the customer dictate on the lot the mood, because once I can adapt myself to them, then I'm a step ahead of the game.
Everything you learn from the customer as you go along is an asset to you if you pay attention to it.
And they'll tell you things that if you're thinking about what you're going to say and opening your mouth, if you're going to miss something, you really got to listen to what they're telling you, because it's just usually one word that'll tip you off. And if you're not listening and being aware of what they're saying, you'll miss it.
If you ask the right questions and then listen, what you hear is what you need to hear to sell people a car. Now, Hondas are not that difficult to sell, but putting the person in the right car that they can afford is important.
That's the most important thing, is setting them on the right car. If you don't have the right car, you're just going to spin your wheels in that office.
Trying to figure out what the hot button is for the customer is what the selling process is all about. Facts and figures are nice, but they don't sell cars. They help you sell cars, but finding out what's important to the customer is the biggest part of the selling process.
Learn the product and learn patience. Those are the two main keys. If you know your product well and you have the patience to let your customer talk instead of trying to get real fast into things. Sometimes people tend to get in too big a hurry.
Everybody's different, and I want that customer to get the car that they want and they feel happy with and comfortable with.
I look at the customer as somebody who's in the market, who's very serious about getting a car, and whether it's going to be from me or someone else, this dealership or another dealership, but I know he's a very serious prospect. I look at him as a very serious prospect, and I try to win him over, basically, because I like to make that customer my customer, and I like him to buy a car from our dealership.
I found out that a lot of times your lookers are your best people. I had a couple of cases like that in the last week or so. A man told me he was just looking, and didn't want no high pressure. No problem, we'll go look at the car. But he drove it away. And that's the kind of person I like. He's really not sure what he wants. Basically, they're going to listen to the salesman. He's the one that's supposed to know about the cars, and they're learning about the cars. So I think that's a good selling technique, because once you find out, they don't know what they want. It's your turn now. Now you got to show them what they need.
It's a percentage game, and you know that 4 out of 10 people, 5 out of 10 people are going to buy a car from you if you treat them right on the lot and just be upfront with them.
And if they say they can't make a decision tonight, I am completely, that's fine with me. And that shocks people too. You know, people say, can you buy today? Will you, if the price is right, will you buy? I never do that. And anyway, if you do people right, they remember you. You do people wrong, it's like bad news flies fast. And, you know, obviously you lose a few. But I don't know how many I lose, so yeah, I don't worry about that.
You are going to lose a few of them at first, but they're going to remember you for the most part. They'll remember you as the one dealership who did not try to take advantage of them, who didn't abuse them. And it's called non-confrontational. Let's say a customer comes in, I want your best price. And that's the first thing they say to you is I want your best price. Before you would say, well, sir, what would I have to do to earn your business? You know, and you try to avoid the issue as much as possible. Now what you do with this non-confrontational type selling is, yes, sir, and could I get your car appraised while you're at it? And would you like payments? Can I find out some interest rates for you? And just go right along with what they're saying, you know, yes, 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 instead of being confrontational and no, 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 no. You totally catch them off guard. And when you catch people off guard, next thing you know, they're saying, gosh, this guy's going to do everything for me. Let's see what we can do. And you find you turn the customer around from coming in looking for a fight to coming in looking for a car.
You know, a lot of people say, well, if you don't get them on the spot, you don't have. That's not true. I have a lot of B-backs. I sell a lot of people, a lot of B-backs. By treating them right, care about their needs, do everything you have to do for them, and let them know that you can do a lot more for them if you come back and buy a car from them.
I sell a lot of B-backs. Believe it or not, I mean, you got certain people, they're not going to buy that first day. The best way to handle a B-back is, well, treat them right, answer the questions. Then you know you got a B-back. They will come back.
Yeah, you can show them a car and that day, but they know you're here and it's a friendly face, and you know they'll come back. So
I just like meeting people. I mean, you guys are fun. It's good. This is fun to me.
My philosophy is maybe I have too much fun, but we do what we can.
I'll sell the car today and make me happy.
So how would you sell your mother a car?
The same way I sell everybody else a car. Only I know she has a lot of money, so I try to hold out on gross probably.
Selling in the 90s is a little different than it was before in the 80s for me. It used to be a situation where you'd go in and just hammer the customer and hammer them until they either committed to buy the car or ran out of there mad. But in the 90s, it's different. The people, they're a lot more educated. They're a lot smarter, and especially the Honda customer.
they want to make sure that you know what you're talking about. So I have to be 2 steps ahead of them at all times as far as product knowledge is concerned. I keep my fax book handy. I spend a lot of time in the shop. Maybe an hour a day I spend back in the shop talking to people that are bringing their cars in for service, and then just watching them change oil, watching them replace CV joint boots, you know, just because it shows you, you know, rather than just reading it.
The customers are certainly more informed than they were 7 years ago with all the magazines and articles, television, and aids for them to help them, quote, buy a car, so that you have to be a little more up on what's happening in the market and a little more up on what's happening with the economy.
You have to be very aware. I subscribe to Car and Driver, Road and Track, and Motor Trend. Now, you don't want to be a know-it-all to the customers, but you have to be prepared. You have to know what they've read.
Because I'll go into the suspension and everything else just to make sure I know what I'm doing, you know, so I have to be 1 step ahead of them. And yeah, I really believe in product knowledge.
have customers today that are more educated. Certainly want to know more about the cars and what they're spending their dollars on. But it's so very important also to know your competition, their strong points, the weaknesses, so that you can point those out. I think many times you have a customer that's shopping at least 3, 4 brands of cars, and the more you know about your competition, the more you can highlight strong points on your cars and stay away from their strong points.
Because you get a lot of comparison shopping. We have a lot of products out there in the market today that is very similar to ours in price.
We try to get together with the local dealerships, different models. Of course, the Camry is one of our toughest competitors, and we have an exchange program with them, and we'll go through each car. Just about 3 or 4 days ago, we had a walk around on both the Camry and the Accord, put both of them on our showroom floor, and this time I was in charge of the Camry walk around. So we switch off. We do that 2 or 3 times a year. The Camry, the Tercel, the Lumina.
Saturn's coming in the picture here lately, so I'm trying to get a little bit of information on Saturn so I can sell off of it.
And a lot of the time, they're coming to drive my Honda after they've driven the guy's Toyota next door. So knowing the Toyota real well helps me, you know, and the Mazda and the Nissan. Because a lot of the times, they're thinking, well, the Honda's really nice, it's got a really great reputation, but I can get the Mazda so much cheaper. You know, and when you show them that they're not actually getting it cheaper because the frame is different, the crush zones aren't there, the anti-lock brakes aren't available, a 5-speed's not available, just so many different little things there that make the Honda a more positive choice than the competition.
It's a great car. I show them every car magazine. I show them Consumer Reports. There's no other salesperson that can pull out all these magazines and newspaper articles and used car books and show what your car will be worth tomorrow and in 5 years.
Consumer Report really is the best advertising Honda has.
3 years, the #1 selling car in the country. All those people can't be wrong. They really can't.
The other day I closed a deal and the guy was hesitant, well, I'm looking at a Nissan or a Toyota, and I said, well, you know, let's look at the resale value of those cars compared to what your car is going to be worth in the next 2 or 3 years or even 4 years.
Also show them a used Honda versus a used Mitsubishi 2 or 3 years old. It's obvious the difference in the two cars after 3 years.
That's the show part of it. When you know about your product, it gives you the ability to shine, and you get the customer involved. And a lot of people come into a car dealership, they're scared because of the war stories they've either heard or they've actually experienced in the past. And when you get excited about the product and you turn it into a show and you make it fun, then they get involved and their defenses, the defensive walls start to fall.
If you don't like a product, you can't sell it. If you're not happy, if you're not convinced that what you're presenting to the public is a 100% genuine article, and if that doesn't come out of you when you're with the customer, then they're not going to have confidence in you. If they don't have confidence in you, they're not going to have confidence in your product.
So I like what I'm selling. I believe in what I'm selling. That has value, and to present the value properly to a customer is going to mean the difference between success or not.
Some people will give you help in selling them, and others are much more difficult, and you have to kind of take each individual instance as it comes and tailor your presentation to them.
I believe in starting at one side of the car, such as the hood, and going around the car so that you get a complete exposure to the car, and then at the end making sure that you have the customer on the passenger side. Open the door, get them to sit in. It automatically gives you a chance to drive the car first with them, and I like to do that. I like to be the one that features the interior of the car with them.
I guess my walk around's a little bit different, and I tend to follow the customer. I mean, rather than saying, you know, here, follow me while I walk around this car, I mean, the first thing that they go to, I start there, and then I go in depth and walk around. You know, if they're followers, then I can lead them. But I tend to just explain things as they go along. You know,
little things make big impressions.
Maybe I pointed out something that the other person didn't point out. That's very important. They say, oh yeah, that's something dumb, like maybe the gas tank release. They will say, oh wow, that's right, this guy never told me that. They won't tell me that, but in their mind they'll think, oh, this guy never told me about the gas tank release, or about how to turn on the cruise control.
when you pop out the cup holder in the car, I usually proceed it by, "You ready for the magic?" You know, and some people may think that's silly, but to me it's like playing. It's like, isn't this neat?
And every little feature that you can show a customer that we have that the other competition has not shown, even if they have the same product, it builds more value.
When they go to kick the tires and they see that they're Michelin's, you know, and they're just looking at the texture of the weave and the fabric, the carpeting, just all the little things that you've got to point out to these people because they won't notice them themselves and they won't reach down and feel the seats or the carpeting. You know, they're not going to look under the hood to see that it's a bulb replaceable headlight unless you point out to them that, you know, if you buy the Toyota, it's a $140 lens. If you buy the Honda, it's a $10 to $12 bulb.
If I show it and the other guy doesn't, I have it and he doesn't. So that makes my car more valuable to the customer because they remember the things I show them.
Ask me any question about the car you want to know, and I'm going to try to help you out. And you go by and you build a friendship between customer and you, and you go from there and you just say, this is a good car, why don't you and I hop in and drive around the block and see how the car feels.
I've had people come in the dealership saying, I have a price from another dealership. If you can beat it, I'll buy it from you. And I'll say, have you driven the car? They say no. They've already got a price. They don't even know what the price is for. You go on the test drive, they start seeing what the price represents, and quite often it's easy to have them pay $400, $500, $600 more now that they know the value of what they're buying.
The demo drive is the most important part of the sale. If you don't take a customer out on a demo drive, they can't fall in love with the car. They have no attachment with it. It doesn't matter if it's $50 a month or $500 a month. If they don't like it, price doesn't matter.
My boss makes everybody drive on a demo ride. There's another thing. I don't go. I refuse. I really believe that people are more comfortable finding out about the product on their own so they can talk. Sometimes you go with a husband and wife, they clam up because you're in the back.
If they say, hey, I don't want a salesman with me, fine, get a permission slip, let them drive the car. As I said, that sells the car to drive. To me, it's the biggest impression on a Honda's got is the drive. So.
I always, because people are always nervous when they're about to spend $15,000 to $20,000. I pull the car out first so they don't have to drive in the parking lot.
And I basically make sure that they're totally comfortable behind the seat by using the tilt wheel, for instance, if the car has it, and making the right adjustments in the seats and all that. Once I know for sure that they're comfortable behind the wheel, then I get on the passenger side, then we just let them drive it, and I try to keep as quiet as I can on a demo ride. Let the customer feel the car for himself or herself.
If they want a car that has a lot of performance, get out on the highway and pass a truck. If they want a car that's sure-footed, get them in a car on a day when it's raining and just stand on the brakes. Show them that the car won't slide.
Tell the customer they're going to have fun and get in and drive them on a fun course. Curvy roads, somewhere they can open it up and just make it convenient too. With the traffic we have on our busy street, it sometimes is necessary that you just lead them in the right direction so it's convenient for them.
I work real hard to make them comfortable, you know, and not to put any pressure on them. I'm not a pressure guy. I'm more laid back, and I don't pressure the people. Let them drive the car, answer their questions.
And I don't go over the how to operate stereo, cruise control, those kind of options, till we get back and they're not driving anymore. It's just too much for them to think about.
I always like to pick a spot that has some scenery, that where I can get out of the car when I find a place where I want to switch driving. We can back the car and highlight the car so it has a very picturesque view of the car. It also gives them a chance to pull it away from the masses of cars they've seen in the parking lot.
Basically, I try to take the same course on every test drive. In our traffic area here, I like to make all right-hand turns for safety. And I have a course where I have some highway driving, a couple of railroad tracks, and some stop and go.
We go down past a little lake where there's ducks. There's a steep grade. I her on and show them that there's no pull down in power, and a lot of little things that stick in the back of their mind when we're doing it. And then I know by the time we pull into the driveway whether they're convinced or whether we've got to go back to square one. And 90% of the time on the Honda, probably 99 and 9/10% of the time, by the time they get out of the car, they've already put it in their driveway.
On the way back from a demo ride, I think it's real important to ask qualifying questions, and I try to do that in as subtle a way as we can. Again, we mentioned soft sell. Mentioning that I think qualifying questions such as, this is a particular car, if we get together on the price, is this a car that would meet your needs? Or if the trade-in allowance is to a figure that is to your liking, can we go on and earn your business today? And these will help you do a better job when you get back, when you get into a close with the customer.
You know, and sometimes I'm just real quiet. I don't have to talk all the time while we're going. It's just because they're looking around and thinking about the car, and then I'll ask them, how does the car feel, and do they like it, and would they like to buy the car today? And they'll say, sure.
What did you say your mother? Tell her what she wants, and here's the price, Mom.
The close is very easy. Yeah, because if you meet and greet correctly and have fun to start with, they relax, and it's just a matter of, a lot of the time they just say, write it up.
Well, before you go inside and get to the desk and work any figures whatsoever, you have to ask them two real important questions. Is this a product you'd buy? And if the price was right. And those are the only two things that you need to ask them outside. Price doesn't matter outside standing on the parking lot. It doesn't make any difference. You can't sell a car on the parking lot.
You want to make sure you're on the right vehicle before you go to close the customer. And if I'm sure that that's the car they're looking to buy, then it makes the closing of the sale a lot easier.
I just asked, is this the car that is this equipped exactly like you want it? Is this the car that you want? And if the answer is no, then, you know, get them on something else, or I haven't done a good qualification. And I know right there that I've made a mistake.
Then I think you have to ask again the question, what would I have to change on this car to make it so it would fit your particular needs? Make sure the customer knows that you don't want to sell them something they don't want. You might ask them that. This is the car that we looked at. Is there anything that you want to change on the car? Now is the time.
Try to find out basically where the problem lies so I can concentrate on that and try to get it resolved.
The key is finding out what will make the customers happy and fill their needs, and then getting them to make a decision.
Become friends, show the car, and slowly come down to the point where you have to negotiate price. And that's where I would like to spend my least amount of time. And I feel if you've done all the beginning steps properly, that everything will fall in place and you won't have to negotiate. Because negotiating can get ugly. And the more you can avoid that, the better off you are.
It's not so much the car. Honda builds a great car. That's why the customers all come in looking to buy the car. They're all there for the same reason. It's more or less price, and they don't want to be pushed. They want to be persuaded, if you will.
I show them an article from Money Magazine that shows that Honda are the cheapest cost in 5 years to own, between the purchase price, the resale value, gas mileage, all that insurance. They're the cheapest, and they're the best. So it's easy.
It's just a question of negotiating the price.
And negotiation is basically, I think if you look it up in the dictionary, it's like two people talking and coming to an agreement. And it's not difficult. It's not something to be afraid of. It's your friend across the desk from you that you're going to try to sell a car to or a product to and reach an agreement so they're happy. And of course, hopefully you'll make a few dollars for yourself in the dealership.
You can still get a little bit more money if they trust you. They're not going to take off and go down the street to another dealer and shop you for $25 or $50 if you've got their trust. If they believe that you have treated them fair, you know, most people will let you earn a living, and that's what you want to do, and I don't think they're opposed to that. There are some people who don't think you should make any money, but I believe 90% of the people will let you.
Sometimes we're our own worst enemy. We will be intimidated by the customer. They've been shopping, they've gotten this price, or they've been gone to Consumer Guide and gotten a price index of what we pay for the car. But this is the first time they've done this maybe in 3 or 4 years. We do it every day, and I think it's very important to keep that in perspective.
I'm real honest about it. Usually you'll get offers from customers that are going to be below what you can sell a car for, and my job is to make them believe that they can't buy the car for that kind of money, and this is why, and sort of go into it nice and easy, and I get to the bottom line quicker. I really don't play a lot of games. I try to alleviate a lot of the going back and forth, because if you make the customer understand and believe that what you're telling them is the truth the first or second or third time around, you won't have to go back 5, 6, 7 times, like you're playing a game with them. The customer's always right, one way or the other, and the bottom line is always going to be price.
But when you show them the quality in something, it overcomes price objection. Quality will overcome price every time.
Most people will buy from people they like. The price issue becomes secondary. If you've built a value, if you've built a friendship, if you build some rapport, people will pay more for that. We get in every day people that are even our own competitors in Honda that will price a car lower, and we consistently will build higher grosses. And why do we do that? The reason we do is the salesmen that get the higher grosses have built better value, and they're not afraid to ask the price.
So I tell them, they should relax. I have them look up here, and I said, you can look at some of the people up here and see whether they look happy. And I tell them, you can too, if you want to make this something that's enjoyable experience for you. A lot of my customers say, oh, this is work, I hate it. I say, this should be fun. This is the biggest treat you can do for yourself.
I love leasing. I think leasing is so smart. People that like to trade really often, even people that don't, I can show them how to save money. Leasing is it's a fantastic option. It's so different than it used to be. It's a smart new way to get a new car. Instead of saying it's a closed-in lease, which scares a lot of people off, we dropped all of the leasing terminology, cap costs, residuals, everything. It's guaranteed future value of the car.
The payments are substantially lower on the month, and the people can purchase more frequently and don't find themselves in a reverse equity situation. Definitely helps.
The numbers are extraordinary, and I'm really excited about that. We started it, I guess, a couple of months ago, and we present it as an option to conventional financing. It's not a pressure thing. It's just you can do it this way, you can do it this way, but if you're smart, this is the way to do it.
A strong point that I think that has made me a very successful salesperson is making sure that I do after I initially sell the car, that we make sure the customer has a very positive and very pleasurable experience when they take delivery on their car. It's very, very important, even though you may have done it all through your feature, all through the presentation of the car, is to go back to the car, because human nature is we can't absorb it all. We're going to forget things.
And the cars are pretty well equipped these days, so you might miss one or two. And so the actual delivery is the lasting impression, the last thing that the customer sees of you until they contact you the next time. And so I do go over things as much detail as I can.
Number one, because it's a safe way for the customer to get in that car and drive out in a car he's never driven in. And number two, there's a lot of things on the car that the customer won't see without you explaining it to him.
I go over all the maintenance on it, what the suggested maintenance is, how to break it in, how to maintain it afterwards, changing the oil, how good that is for a car, where all the childproof locks, every single solitary part of the car I go over, and I have them use it so they know how it works.
Make them feel real at home. Make sure the car is good and clean. I always go over a car after their cleanup strap has been through it, and try to have it parked inside so it doesn't get dusty and this type of thing.
They're here to satisfy you, and that's no question about it. Not only in buying a car, it's after the sale too, The way of service, of course, you go through your service, show them your service department, which I always do. Walk them through the service department, parts department, show them everything that we have here for their convenience.
You've always got a customer that couldn't figure out why their fog lights didn't work the first time, and well, you got to turn this switch, and you know, that kind of thing. And one customer came in, the breakaway side mirrors. She came back the next day thinking that her brand new car was broken, and I said, no, I'm sorry, I didn't explain this right. This just folds back, and oh, she was happy as all could be.
Oftentimes I've had people tell me that last time I bought a car, they didn't even show us how to operate any of this. I always go over the Honda QDS and make sure that they've signed it showing that I've showed them how to operate everything and that they're fully comfortable with the car. And then I always call them within 48 hours to make sure that they have learned everything, because oftentimes they've been there a long time, they've spent a lot of money, and they're really too nervous and they just want to get out of there. They don't even pay attention to half of what you're telling them.
Going through the car and reiterating all the features of the car. It feels good, and it's like, well, are you excited? You have a new car. That's fun. That's fun to me. And it's like almost like I'm giving them a present. They're paying for it, but I'm still giving them a present.
When everything is over and done with, the customer, you can, as you go through the QDS, you see them, and their hands want to touch the car. It's their car, and they want you to hurry up and give it to them. And they follow you through everything, and they see how the car works and how it operates, and they're just real anxious to get onto the car. And it's somewhat controllable because I hold the keys until the very last moment, and they're trying to get them away from us. And no, that's not quite yours yet. I have to go through this. I have to make sure you understand the car as well as I do. And at that last moment, when I hand them the keys, their ear-to-ear smile, they've got their car, and it's a win-win situation for both of us.
How would you sell your mother a car?
Oh, she's tough. Oh boy, she's tough. I mean, my mom is a negotiator, you know, so you gotta start $3,000 above sticker because she's gonna expect you to give her everything. She'll nickel and dime you to death.
I think service is the most important thing you can do. Anybody can sell a car. After you train them right, anybody can sell a car. But to get the customer to come back, you've got to take care of them at the service desk, take care of them when they have a problem, and that's what we try to do at our dealership.
This is true, and it requires a lot of follow-up. I mean, you can't just expect them just to come running back in the door, but it requires a lot of phone time and staying with the customer, staying on top of them. It may require a little more work on your part. Personally, I enjoy the phone. You get to spend a lot of time and visit with people and find out the type of thing that, you know, things, they'll loosen up when they're in their own environment. You know, sometimes when you got them at the dealership, they're in your element. But when you've got them on the phone, you know, they'll sit back and talk to you and loosen up a little bit, and you can get a little closer to them.
The day they buy the car, I handwritten note on the back of a postcard with the type of car they bought, whether it's an Accord or Civic or whatever, handwrite it. So they get that probably in a day and a half after they bought the car. And then in 3 to 4 days, they get another letter that is put up by the dealership that asks for a little bit of referrals, this type of thing. And then you usually call back at the end of the first month that they have owned the car, and just visit with them a little bit further at that time, make sure they fill out our quality delivery survey. If they have any problems with that, I want to know before American Honda does.
I'll call within just to check on the car and see if everything's all right, and generally contact about 30 days or so with each customer just to make sure everything's okay.
When I close a deal, the first thing I do is make a copy of their driver license. The reason I do so because, say, 2 years later, they call me back. They ask me about, do you remember me? I bought a car from you 2 years ago. I know that I can't remember their face. So I have to open the follow-up system and I look at the picture and I remember them. And I can, you know, talk to them a little bit more, and I make sure I write down what car they bought, what color or what accessory they put it in their car. So make them feel like, oh, this guy here remember me. At least I'm an important person. I mean, he remember me. He didn't make me feel like after he sell me a car, he doesn't care who I am.
They like that. They like the fact you're treating them like they're customers. You know, you're really concerned about the car after the sale. And that's got a lot to do with getting that second sale back in it. And your referrals. I get a lot of referrals now. I've been in here 4 years. But we do have a good follow-up. We have a good mail out. I mailed out 400 letters yesterday to prior customers.
Every customer gets a birthday card, anniversary card, and be my first year for Christmas cards, but they'll get a Christmas card too.
Over a course of 5 years, I've calculated that I'll speak to my customers approximately 21 times. And it's very important in the first 2.5 years because most people are going to trade their other car sometime in that 2 years.
And the reason they're coming back to me is because I stayed on the phone with them after the sale. How's the car doing? How are you doing? You know, just spend some time with them on the phone afterwards and ask them for, you know, referrals and repeat business. And they give it to you. But you got to ask for it, and you got to call them up and make sure that, let them know that you're concerned with keeping their business down the road.
I used to sit back and watch a fellow over there. Every time somebody walked in the showroom, they'd ask for him, you know, and I'm sitting there thinking, no, I'll never sell no cars. This man got everybody ask for him. But now, this man walks up, and they say it's Johnny Young. I'm getting a lot of referrals. That's what it takes. You can't build your business up on referral. Don't get in the car business, because it's what you got to do.
Take care of the people that you've already sold. I had one customer that his neighbor came and bought a car from me. The neighbor's sons both bought cars from me, and then the people that they worked for in the dealership or in their stores came and bought cars from me again. So that one referral, that one customer sent me 5 or 6 customers, and that's very important. I think that's the way people want to buy cars these days.
Your closing ratio on a prior customer or referral customer is going to be much higher than it is on just a fresh up.
After a while, when I build a friendship, that customer turn around to be your best friend. He referred, like I got a customer bought about like almost 10 cars from me within a year. The last 2 cars, he personally bring customer down and introduced in front of his friend that he found he's my friend. He'll take a good care of you. Don't worry about it. And those 2 deals is never ever got an easy deal like that before.
They make fun of me. They say you spend forever with your customers, you marry your customers, but right now I've only been in the business 3 years, and right now about 40% of my sales are referral. So it's working.
I've got this one general that's brought down every single member of his family so far. He's even importing one from overseas this June to buy a car. Pretty good selling point there when a 4-star general of the United States Marine Corps buys a Honda, you know, and has his kids buy Hondas.
I pay $50 to $75 a break. We're anxious, you know, to go out and try to find somebody just to pay for those floor mats or something like that. So all it is money in their pocket if they can send me a customer, and if I can, you know, do my job and sell them and treat them the same way they were treated, because if they were treated well, they're not going to have any problem of sending somebody in.
If you treat them right, they will never forget you. I don't mean how many years I've been here. I mean, people come back 6 years ago that sold cars to.
There's no mystery to all these things. There's no magic formula. It's just simply filling people's needs, and the better you can fill their needs, the more chance you have that they're going to come back and ask you to fill their needs again. And that's truly what it's all about.
The saddest thing in the world is when you go home and see your neighbor has a brand new car, had no clue you sell cars. Even if you're just talking to people socially, letting them know where you are and what you're doing. I play a lot of golf, and well, just last Sunday playing golf, I met 2 people that right now I'm working car deals for.
When I'm on the golf course, finding out what each other we do, and start talking, come to find out they need a car, or they will just come in a couple months and end up selling them a car. Again, just becoming their friend. I enjoy people, talking with people. It's not all business, it's more of pleasure of helping people out.
When I go out to dinner, I take my card, and put it on the table after I pay the guy the tip. If I go to a bar, I throw my card on the table. If I go anywhere, my card is there. I give my cards. Listen, you're looking to buy a car in the future. Here's my card. My name is Mark Coleman. Come in and see me. Out of, say, 10 people that I send the cars to, 2 came back to see me, and that's 2 more customers I would never had.
Always try to offer a little bit when you're talking to them, you know. Say, you know, I can help you in the way of service. I can do this for you. Every time you call them, show them that you can really do something for them.
Selling yourself and the dealership is what I believe it's come down to. There's been different eras in the car business. There's been the price, the fancy options, which mostly the domestic manufacturers have dealt on. Now it's people have to trust you, you have to sell yourself, and they want to know the dealership will be there tomorrow if they need help.
When I first started, it was I had to go out and sell everybody to make a lot of money. Now I think I've learned if you don't sell a car for a week, you can't get down on yourself. It's a whole new day. You just keep going and keep going. Eventually it will come around, and you will start getting those customers once again.
Certainly in sales, you get kicked a few more times than maybe that you get propped up. And I think if you can remember that winning is like any sport. You've got to get up there and keep on trying. And I think a successful salesperson does that every day. When they get up in the morning, they have to be optimistic. They have to say, hey, this is a great day. I'm going to sell 5 cars. They may only sell 1. But if they do that every day and set a goal and stay focused, and focus is a very, very important part, as I think that you're going to be a success in anything you want to do.
I always like to liken car sales to hitting a baseball. You get up there and you take your swings, and if you do the right things each time and you're focused, you'll get your hits. And it's the same with selling cars. If you do the right thing each time, you'll sell cars. Now, nobody is going to bat 1,000, and no car salesman is going to bat 1,000. But if you can hit in the 300s, just like in baseball, then you're going to do very well.
Because it is a game. You know, the thing is, you got to find the win-win point of that game. The customer's happy with the car, you're happy with the sale and the final commission of it. So have fun with it, and just lighten up. Don't be so serious when you'll end up selling a lot of cars.
I keep thinking, geez, we've done enough training. Let's take a break, can we? That's not true. You always got to continue to get better. The 90s are changing, and the people that are going to be successful in any business, not just car sales, you've got to adapt. As things change, you've got to change.
And I've just dedicated myself that I wanted to be the best at the store that I'm at, and I wanted to give 110% effort to Roger Penske, to the management team, and to my fellow salespeople. And I believe in the dealership, I believe in the company, and I'd like to stay with it.
And I'm not the average salesman. I've got a good situation, I've got a great car, and a bunch of good people to work with. So it makes a lot of difference.
This is one of the few places that I've ever worked that everyone likes each other, everyone gets along, no pressure, everyone's goal is to make happy people.
I've, again, sold Hondas for 13 years. I believe in the product. I believe it's the best one out there.
I believe in Honda till my dying breath. As long as you guys keep building a good car, I'm going to keep selling them for you.
We've got a tremendous product. You don't have to make any excuses for it.
I own a Honda. I invest my money where I think it's best.
I'm selling the car because I would drive one. I do drive one. I drive 2 of them.
Well, I believe in the product very, very much. I mean, I own 5 of them, you know. So it's not like I'm a mouth that runs. I buy the product myself, you know. The whole family does.
My wife drives a Honda, and so do I. She enjoys her car. She really does. She likes the car very well. Of course, we had good luck with it. How could I say anything else?
Why don't you sell your mother a car?
How would I sell my mother a car? I would, she trusts me. She'd pay anything I wanted her to.